Okay, so we're going to talk about some properties of logarithms, okay? Mainly adding, subtracting, a power property, and how to recognize inverses, okay? If you pay attention, these are really not that difficult, okay? One of the main things is to always look at your bases. All right, you can only add two logs together that have the same base. You can only subtract logs that have the same base. Okay, so making sure you have the same base is really important. Okay, so we've got number 1 here. Log base 4 of 2 is plus log base 4 of 32. All right, first thing you notice is that you're trying to add two logs. So I'm going to check the bases. I have a base of 4, and I have a base of 4. That means I can combine these into one log with a base of 4. Okay? So in other words, if this one is 4 and this one is 4, then this one is going to be 4. We're just pretty much attempting to make this a more simple thing to look at. Okay? Now, when you are adding, okay, you're going to take a look at the two numbers in your log, the 2 and the 32. All right, you are going to multiply them. So you have 2 times 32. So when you add two logs that have the same base, you will multiply these two numbers right here. Okay, so when you add, you multiply. All right, so if I multiply this, I'm going to get log base 4 of 2 times 32 is 64. Okay, now remember, if you're thinking mentally, this is 4 to what power is 64, but you do have a calculator that you can pull out and put that in. All right, let me grab mine real fast. All right, remember, you can do a change of base if you want to and do log 64 over log 4. It's really not needed, and I'm not going to make you do that this time. All right, remember, if you do alpha window, you could do log base, which is option 5, and plug it in just like it was. So log base 4 of 64, and you get 3. All right, so the answer is 3. Remember, that means 4 to the 3rd power is equal to 64. And then you're good to go. All right, so let's take a look at number 2. Again, you always check to make sure that you have the same base of your logs. So we have a base of 1/3 and a base of 1/3. We are adding, which means that eventually we're going to multiply the 27 and the 1/9. So we'll combine these into one log. All right, and remember, if they're both log base 1/3, then this is also a log base 1/3. Okay, and then I'm going to take and multiply 27 times 1/9. 27 times 1/9 is going to give me 3. So this is log base 1/3 of 3. Again, I plug that directly into my calculator. Alpha window, option 5. Put a fraction down there. You don't have to use the fraction boxes, but you can. So we've got 1/3 of 3. Oops. Make sure you arrow over. And you get -1. All right, so let's try a couple more of those. I've got log base 5 of 625 plus log base 5 of 25. Again, I check to make sure that my bases are the same. So I have log base 5, log base 5. So when I add those together, they still remain log base 5. I see that I am adding, so that means I'm going to multiply 625 times 25. All right, so that gives me log base 5 of 15,625. All right, I'm not going to pull the calculator up this time, but if you plug this one into your calculator, you should get 6. So that means 5 to the 6th power would be 15,625. And number 4, log base 6. Log base 6, you are adding. So I will keep the log base 6, and I multiply the 4 and the 9. 4 times 9 is 36. So I have log base 6 of 36. And actually, you could do this one in your head. 6 to what power is 36? That'd be 2. But again, you have a calculator. If you can't do the mental stuff, go ahead and plug it in, and it's going to give you a 2. That just means 6 to the 2nd power is 36. Okay? So that's how you add. Let's talk about subtracting. All right, subtracting is pretty much the same thing as adding, except instead of multiplying, we are going to divide. So same process. Look at your bases. You have a log base 2 and a log base 2, and you are subtracting those two logs. So you keep the log base 2, but instead of multiplying 32 and 4, you're going to divide 32 by 4. It is always, always, always this one divided by the second one. So first one divided by second one. Please, please, please remember that. Okay? So, once I get that done, 32 divided by 4 is 8. So I have log base 2 of 8. So again, this is 2 to what power equals 8. If you know that, that would be 3. If not, you can plug it into your calculator, and it will tell you that it is 3. So 2 cubed is 8. All right, and one more subtraction problem. We always check. Bases are the same. So I'm going to keep the log base 7. But I notice that I am subtracting. So I take the first one, 49, and I divide that by the second, which is 7. 49 divided by 7 is 7. So I get log base 7 of 7. This would be 7 to what power equals 7? Well, that's easy. That's 1. Again, you have a calculator, though. You could plug that directly into your calculator. It's going to tell you that it's 1. All right, these are going to come in handy when you have to simplify things, and you may have to do adding and subtracting all in one problem. So you need to make sure you're very aware of whether you're adding and what you're supposed to do when you add, and if you're subtracting, what you're supposed to do when you subtract. Normally in math, multiplication and addition go hand in hand, as do division and subtraction, so that should be really easy for you to remember. Okay? Okay, so let's talk about the power property. Right? So we have this little property that actually comes in handy quite a bit the rest of the semester, all right, or year actually. All right, any time that you have this power up here, we have a power property that says that I can take that power and I can move it to the front of my log. Okay? So anytime you have a power, you can move it to the front of your log. All right, so I'm going to move that to the front. So that's going to give me 2 times log base 3 of 81. Okay, then all I have to do is plug it in exactly like it looks. So I would grab my calculator and I would say 2. And then get my little log, alpha window option 5. All right, I plug in 3, and then I plug in 81. And that tells me it's 8. All right, so my answer is 8. Okay, now it is possible for you to say log base 3 of 81 squared, but you really, really need to know the power property for other lessons. You're going to need it even when we don't have logs in a problem, sometimes we'll have to solve a problem using logs, and the power property comes in really handy. So make sure that we know what we're doing. All right, so same thing here. I'm going to pull the power of 3 to the front. So I have 3 log base 5 of 1/5. Guess my 5 looks kind of funky there, doesn't it? All right, if I plug that directly into my calculator, I get -3. All right, so let's take a look at 9 and 10. Again, I notice that I have a log and a power. So this power rule says I can move the 4 to the front. So I have 4 log 10. And remember, we've already talked about the fact that if there is no base, the base is 10. But if you're plugging this one in your calculator, remember this log over here is already a base of 10. So I can just say 4 log 10. And it doesn't give me that little box down here. See how there's no box? Because it already realizes it is a base 10. All right? So the answer is 4. And last but not least, number 10, power of 5. We're going to move that to the front. So that gives us 5 log base 2 of 1/2. I'm going to plug that in exactly like it looks. And that's going to give me -5. Okay? So not bad, but one of the important rules to remember. Okay? So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to recognize an inverse. Okay? Now, this is kind of like a shortcut to some things. It doesn't necessarily always give you something that, you know, is helpful. But sometimes it does. On your worksheet, it's definitely going to. So if you will notice on number 11, this is the base of my log, and this is the base of my exponent. When these two bases are the same, then the answer is going to be everything except for this part right here. So the answer to this is 3x plus 1. And I want you to think about this for just a second. If I use the power rule and I move this whole exponent to the front, that would be 3x plus 1 times log base 8 of 8. Well, if we actually found a value for log base 8 of 8, this would be 8 to what power equals 8. If I plug just this part in my calculator, I get a 1. And 1 times 3x plus 1 is just 3x plus 1. So when you have the same bases, the log with the bases cancel out, and your whole answer is just 3x plus 1. All right? All right, this one does not have the same base, and actually it would probably be faster for you just to plug it into your calculator and get an answer. But just for the sake of learning about inverses, we're going to rewrite this one. So if you think about this, if we wanted to get a base to make this the same as a base of 5, I could say that this was log base 5 of 5 to the third. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. So if I just rewrite 125 with a base of 5, all right, that's going to give me two bases that are the same. So the log and the bases cancel, and the answer is 3. All right, same thing with exponents. This is the base of my log. This whole thing is in the exponent, and this is the base of my exponent. So therefore, all I'm going to have, so what you're going to do is you're going to look at this. This is the base of the exponent. This is the base of your log. So the log and the bases cancel and leave you with 27. This base of your log is the same as the base of this exponent. Log and bases cancel, and your answer is 8x. It's extremely important for you to remember all of the little rules and everything like that. Okay, they're going to come in handy and they make your life easier. You do a lot of log stuff if you end up going to college algebra, and it comes in really helpful if you already know how to do it. Okay, and that's all for this video.